just randomly standing in Prahran Market with a barbecue and this beautiful big bistecca fiorentina or T-bone, which is a Cape Grim piece of beef from Gary's Quality Meat. I'm going to show you guys how to do an alternate Christmas recipe today. This is a big piece of meat. It's about 500 or 600 grams with the bone in, mind you. And this would feed about 1 to 2 people. Some people like to get a little, let's say, meat lover-ish and eat the whole thing themselves. Now, a little trick tip with this is actually to take it out of the fridge about an hour before you start cooking, because it will be cold in the center if you're going to grill it medium rare. There's a lot of arguments about how to season meat, and when I'm cooking a piece of beef for this long, I'll cook for about 3 to 4 minutes each side. I tend not to season too much to start with, or in this case at all. I'll season once it's rested. So I've got the beef on the paper here, and we'll brush it with some olive oil. So I'm going to brush this just with a bit of olive oil, and you can use your hands, but I'm not going to do that because I've got this lovely rosemary brush and I'm using a good quality extra virgin olive oil. So just give it a nice rub down. I'm not going to season this at all at this stage. So pop this onto a preheated barbecue, or if you don't have a preheated barbecue, you could use a grill plate. This is a big cut of meat, so I'll cook this for about 3 to 4 minutes each side for medium rare. If you have a thermometer, we're looking for a core temperature of 50 to 55 degrees Celsius. I'm going to make a salsa verde, which means green sauce. Kind of sounds nicer in Italian, but it's a sauce I've been making since the 90s. Kind of shows you how old I am, and it goes really well with grilled meats, roasted meats, and really meaty fish like monkfish or blue eye. So to start with, I'll take 1 peeled garlic clove. I'm going to take a pinch of salt, and we bash that down into a paste. You can make this in a food processor if you want, but I think it's just nicer in a mortar and pestle. Now we're going to pop some anchovies into there. And with these kind of sauces, it's really good to use the best quality ingredients you can get hold of, or the best quality you can afford, because they're simple flavors and you need those flavors to be really good. So I'll take about 3 or 4 anchovies, leaving enough for me to eat the rest out of the tin. We can pop those straight into there. Once you've got the anchovy, just work that into there, and that should break down pretty quickly into a paste and really be at one with the garlic. You don't need to go bananas with that. Once you've done that, then take a little bit of mustard. Say goodbye to Christmas. Christmas just left the building. So I'll put a little bit of mustard into there. And once again, use the pestle to work that in. Now I'm going to grab some herbs. Salsa verde uses lots of different herbs. My favorite to use is a little bit of basil, some flat leaf parsley, and mint. But you can always start incorporating things like rocket lettuce in there if you have some that you want to use up. Probably use a bit more than that. You can bunch it up with your hand. You could do this whole thing in a food processor. I do, as I said, like chopping it by hand, because I find that the food processor blades are often quite blunt and you end up with just a very, dare I say, mangled salsa verde. I'm just going to turn this on the diagonal to start with. We'll continue cooking that for a couple more minutes. Once you've got the herbs roughly chopped, pop them into the mortar. Make sure you get them all up. And then we're going to add some olive oil into there. Grab yourself a spoon. I might use this one from the mustard, that's okay. And start to stir all that together. Just folding it through, being careful not to bruise those herbs too much. I like to add a little handful of cornichons and capers into there, so pop them onto your board and just give it a rough chop. I don't even mind the capers whole sometimes if they're little baby ones. Okay. So they can go straight in with the herbs, and then we'll add some more olive oil into there. And we give that a mix around. Look at that. Beautiful. Just a little more olive oil. And always watch how much salt you put into this, because we've used anchovies and capers, which are generally salted or kept in a brine. So they'll bring their own saltiness to this. So have a little taste. It almost doesn't need, oh, it's delicious. Almost doesn't need anything. I'm gonna give a tiny bit of red wine vinegar. If you don't have red wine vinegar, you can always use lemon juice, just to hit it with a little bit of acidity. This has been cooking for about 5 minutes on each side. It's a minute longer than I thought it would because it's a big piece of meat. If you guys aren't super competent at grilling meat, I suggest you get yourself a temperature probe. Cooking by temperature will allow you to get it perfect every single time. So now this has come off, I'll let it rest for about 5 minutes, which is half the amount of time it took to cook, which is a basic formula for grilling meats and resting. This has been resting for 5 or 6 minutes and it's the moment of truth where we cut it. So you can slice it however thickly you like it. I normally like it about 1 centimeter thick. So let's take one and take the string off would be helpful. Let's take a nice third slice in. This is a really great alternative to turkey or something like that. And we live in Australia, it's hot here. And I love this dish because it's something we can cook on the barbie outside on a beautiful summer's day. And there's not much work involved. You're not in the oven basting turkeys and doing potatoes and all that jazz. It's really simple food that tastes fantastic. Have an awesome Christmas. I'll see you at Prahran Market.